how's it going? I'm here with Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz.
Yes.
How excited are you?
I'm excited because obviously, look, it was a rough 10 days with the Jarrell Miller stuff, and it was never ideal. But I believe I have a better fight than Jarrell Miller. May not have yet the animosity that fight had, but I think you have a guy who's probably similar to Miller in some respects, but has much faster hands, probably has a better boxing IQ. Yeah, so it's a big fight. I mean, aesthetically, he don't look like Anthony Joshua. You know, like he says, he's fueled by Snickers. But if you speak to people in the game, they all know this is a real fight.
So, you know, with that being said, I know picking a replacement is a very complex thing. You want to get the best fight in addition to something that the fight fans want to, you know, make sure the event goes well. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it was a strategic move that you got Canelo Alvarez fighting on Cinco de Mayo weekend, and Andy Ruiz happens to have a Mexican background heritage. Was that part of the decision on? It was
certainly interesting and part of the story. I mean, look, we know that Mexicans fight with a lot of heart and they have great skill, but we also know they get behind their people. But we also know he has a chance to become the first Mexican world heavyweight champion. Like, if he wins this fight, he becomes a Mexican legend overnight. So, and of course they have a big fan base, and there's going to be a lot of Hispanic and Mexican fans now at the Garden. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it. But it was more about knowing what Andy will do in this fight. Like, he's not going to be a sitting duck. He's not going to not try. He's not going to dance around the ring and try and survive. He's not going to come for the payday. He's going to come and put 120% of his heart on the line against AJ. And I'm excited because it's a big banana skin for Joshua. Like, he's coming to the UK first time. Everyone looks at Ruiz and goes, "Oh, he's going to knock this guy out." Like, people are expecting AJ to deal with Ruiz comfortably. His style won't be comfortable for AJ. You know, you've got a shorter guy who's moving his head, trying to work the body, work him on the inside, big hooks over the top. Like, he's going to let his hands go. Like, he's going to get met by the best heavyweight in the world, the fastest heavyweight in the world. And I think technically the best heavyweight in the world, and one that can punch like fuck. So he's got to be careful, but you're going to get a war.
So with a fight like this, you know, a lot of people have been talking like, if you fight Anthony Joshua, you know, and if you happen to beat him, you know, that lion share isn't really truly a lion share. That if you fight Anthony Joshua, that it could be a 50-50, you know,
it depends on the situation. If you're a voluntary challenger, and you're being given the opportunity to fight Anthony Joshua, of course, the rematch is going to be a different kind of deal than if you're a unified world heavyweight champion or you're someone on the same level profile-wise. Do you understand what I mean?
So is that the case with this?
Yeah, I mean, if he wins the fight, he's going to make a huge amount of money in a rematch. Will he make more than Joshua? Maybe. It depends on the size of the fight. You don't know. If Joshua gets knocked out in a round and everyone is saying we don't want a rematch, he's going to make more money than Joshua in a rematch. So, if it's a war and if it's a huge fight, I don't know. So are
those rematches that, you know, you hear the narratives and stuff out there, some of the people say that it's already pre-made, the rematch clause, in a sense, where some fighters say, you know, I don't want to take that fight, or, you know, I was offered a rematch clause.
He's fighting a voluntary defence, Joshua. Is
it predetermined or it's not? The rematch for this?
Yes,
so it's already set and predetermined.
Yeah. But that is. I don't think there's ever been a world championship fight with a voluntary defence where there hasn't been a rematch clause for the champion. It's just very standard. There's one with Canelo, Jacobs. When you've got a clear A side, that's always the case. So what it means is that if he does win, he's going to make a huge amount of money in a rematch. And by the way, if he wins that, he's free and he becomes the biggest star in world boxing. So it's not a case of, oh, it's really unfair that there's a rematch clause or the money for the rematch is poor. It's not. But you also have to understand what happens when the biggest star in world boxing gives, let's be real, a shot to a voluntary defence. So,
so how was this fight able to get worked out, seeing that other Al Haymon fighters like Deontay Wilder,
just because I think the relevance and the size of Ruiz versus those guys, you know, I don't necessarily always blame Al that he wants to keep his fighters on Fox and Showtime. If he doesn't, PBC business is in bad shape, right? I want to keep my best fighters on Dazn. Bob wants to keep his best fighters on ESPN. This guy was a fighter, although he just boxed on Fox a couple of days ago, or a week ago, where you can't stop this kid from taking this opportunity. It's a chance of a lifetime, it's a chance to create history. So for Al to turn around and say, no, you can't do this. If it was Wilder, or if it was Spence, or if it was Mikey Garcia, it's a different kettle of fish. They would have rather he stayed on Fox and boxed on there. But you can't stand in the way as an advisor to an opportunity like this.
So you mentioned Bob, you know, just got a last couple questions. Gilberto Ramirez,
Yeah.
Callum Smith.
Well, I heard today they reported that Ramirez has vacated his belt.
Yes.
So it's done, it's over, which is crazy. Like, what is he being told to do? Unless he just can't make 168. You know, the fighter told us he wants the Callum Smith fight. And now he's moving to 175, so it's very strange.
So where does Callum Smith go for the next big fight?
He's going to fight on June the 1st. You know, there's some big fights out there for him. You might see Golovkin move to 168. You might see Danny Jacobs move to 168. You might see Canelo revisit 168. The Benavidez fight is a great fight. The Caleb Plant fight is a great fight. There are 2 unifications as well. So there's lots out there for Callum Smith, but it's disappointing that the Ramirez fight, you know, we had a good conversation with everyone, said, yeah, let's get his fight made, and now it looks like he's vacated the belt.
And my last follow-up question of all of this is just, I just want to clear up the stuff that's been reporting about, obviously Danny Jacobs came in above the rehydration clause that, you know, worked out. They're saying that he's possibly up to $750 to $1 million if that was reported incorrectly. I just want to get
I can't comment on the terms of the agreement. I mean, Oscar's already stated the weights, and it's really, I know there's all these like conspiracy theories. It's very, very straightforward. So the request was from Canelo to come in at a certain weight. He didn't have to. Not for the IBF, not for the WBA, not for the WBC, not for the Las Vegas Commission, but a request from Canelo. He can come in up to a certain weight of whatever he wants, but there'll be penalties. So he didn't have to come in at 170 or lose a belt or the fight not go ahead.
He keeps his belt.
Everything. It's not. He can come in at the way he wants, but with penalties.
Okay.
So what happened was, but it was always his intention to come in at 170, as he did with the Derevenchenko fight. He woke up this morning at 173.
Now, you know what, some people's going to run with the narrative, either he did it intentionally or the fact that maybe it was actually, do you think it was unintentional?
I don't think he intentionally wanted to lose some dollars this morning, but one thing he was never going to do was to affect his performance in the fight. He made weight. Like, this was a clause put in for someone to get an edge on another fighter, to try and make him make that weight, and he was prepared to do that, but he wasn't prepared this morning to affect, one, his safety in the fight, but 2, his ability in the fight. So what was he going to do? Take weight off this morning? No. He rehydrated safely after the weigh-in. He wasn't stuffing his face. He wasn't, you know, eating burgers. He was just rehydrating in a way that was safe. And whatever he woke up in the morning, he was going to wake up, but we expected that to be 170 pounds. He wasn't, and that was it. So, again, he could have come in 179 pounds. It's not a problem, but he would have had to pay more money. So it's really a case of what gives you the best opportunity to win, that is rehydrate safely. He made the weight. The weigh-in was yesterday. This is what happens. And if it's not a responsibility of, if it's not a clause of WBC, the WBA, blah, 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 or you lose a belt, or the commission, or the fight might not go ahead, fair enough. But this was just a request from the other side to be a certain way, or to suffer some penalties. And he woke up and said, this is my weight. If there's a penalty, so be it. Let's fucking fight tonight.
Absolutely. Look, thank you so much for giving time.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.